we as a company sort of ignore the bull and the bear. It's irrelevant to us in terms of what we're building. So we just head down, build. Dovu, basically, we're building the platform of trust for carbon credits, for ecological credits. The whole ethos of Dovu really is to enable any carbon or environmental project on the planet to easily participate in the carbon economy. And I think that's where the big issue is. So you've got huge corporates that have made commitments to become net zero by 2030, and there aren't enough credits out there, quality credits out there, even for one of them. Let's take Microsoft, for example. There are not enough quality credits out there for Microsoft to hit their goals by 2030. So that's just one corporate. So when you start to add all of that up, and then you have government issues and everything else, that's the main issue, is supply.
I think one of the things that's been interesting to watch from the Dovu journey standpoint, at least for me, as an outsider looking in, is that you guys do kind of cultivate user experience too within the ecosystem. And it's, ESG, which is fantastic, obviously, but then you think about things like DeFi. Can you talk a little bit about how that kind of plays into kind of the circular economy aspects that you guys are kind of building out within Dovu?
You can't just focus on one part of the business. You've got to sort of really bring the two in, but that takes time. There's so many tokens out there right now that have zero utility, zero value, that nobody's building anything underneath it, and they're just trading mechanisms. It's just a trade-in token. We've always wanted to build a business that is actually business first, and then the tokens integrated into it. Sometimes to the frustration of token holders, but this is a marathon, not a sprint.
It's time to shake the focus up. Sick of being sick and tired, tell me if you had enough. Yeah, it's Shook's in the building now. We ain't missing nothing. We gon' catch you if they got a run. What's good, everybody? Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to another episode. That's right, if you ain't figured it out by now, we definitely talking about Dovu in this one. What a fire interview. Shout out to Generation Infinity. What a fire interview. Irfan never disappoints. The Twitter space he did with Kabila, fire. This interview, straight heat. Like, we got a couple more clips that we gonna go over in this video, but you definitely gotta get over here and check out the whole 11 and a half minutes. Like, what a fire interview. That's really all I can say. But we got a little bit more than just that to talk about, because Dovu has been busy since it's 2024. Looks like Dovu showed up and did a little bit of showing out. Some big names were at since it's 2024. We saw Ubisoft, so you know who else is probably there. That's right, probably a left, but we'll get to them at a later time. Let's go ahead and talk about Dovu. So kicking things off over here on the Gecko, Dovu is at 16.28%. What? I cannot believe it's this low. This is like stupid low to me right now. I gotta adjust. I was actually buying something else right now, but I'm gonna have to adjust and maybe come back and buff my Dovu bag just a little bit more, just because of how stupid cheap it is right now. I can't believe this. But anyway, so there you have it, Dovu over here on the Gecko. Now, the bulk of what we're going to talk about today revolves around this. So this kind of ties in very nicely, I think, with some things that you heard Irfan talk about in this interview. A couple of them are parts that I tried to piece out. But if you get done watching this video and you're like, man, I'm not sure, go back and watch that whole interview that he just did with Generation Infinity, and then go back and watch that Twitter space he did with Kabila, and then come back and tell me if you don't understand yet. But this one right here was a repost that I found from RoboPeep. Not sure if that's actually a bot or not, but we got Dovu partners with Circularity Global. So Dovu has found another partnership in this space, and it seemed kind of like, okay, well, what is Circularity Global? I never heard of them, so I wanted to go ahead and do a quick little search to see what that was about. And you can see they got a website over here, Circularity Global, a climate tech blockchain platform. So
again, Irfan saying that they willing to work with, you know, anybody who's trying to build in this space. So definitely no shocker here. Let's see what they got here. Innovation hubs, blockchain registry, credits exchange, transparency, traceability, accountability. Who we are. Circularity Global is a climate tech startup building circular economy business models around all things waste. Amongst evident climate catastrophe, Circularity Global emerges as an initiative and rallying point for collective action, uniting government, corporations, and policymakers with technology, innovation, community, and grassroots for change. So some little grassroots startups. Innovation hubs, blockchain registry, and credits exchange. So there we go. We're talking about the credits. Already we can see why it makes sense for these two entities to be having a conversation. A true circular economy. Let's try to slow this down a little bit. Let's look at, okay, the Circularity Innovation Hubs. They operate as a network orchestrator where innovation meets specific categories of waste, not only recycle it, but repurpose it as a byproduct or energy. Okay, again, circular makes sense, right? Circularity Registry is a first of its kind blockchain platform with end-to-end transparency, traceability, and accountability to register circular economy projects for the issuance of circularity credits. Circularity Global has developed and owns the IP for the circular economy credits framework. So they have their own framework and they've got credits going. So again, sounds very similar to how Dovu is trying to operate in the space. The Circularity Exchange is a unique platform for not just trading and investments into credits, but also enabling a first of its kind swapping mechanism between different types of credits. So now we're talking about swapping different credits. Oh my gosh. And that would almost have to make sense. Again, we heard Irfan say, like, there's not enough credits for all these businesses. Like the credits just got to get made. Like they just need credits. It's a supply. There's a supply issue for these credits, right? He said these businesses by 2030 are saying they want to be clean, but there's not even enough carbon credits for them to try to prove out that they are, right? Like it's it's insane what's coming here, man. This is crazy. What else do we have here? I think I had just an article here that kind of gave us some examples of this circular kind of economy here. Is this where I put that? Oh yeah. Now this article is giant. We're not going to read the whole thing, but there's definitely some paragraphs out of here that we want. By the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, Tech Enabler series. So I believe part 2 is where we're going to get most of our stuff from. I don't think I need anything from part 1 or 3. Excuse me. What is blockchain's value to the circular economy? Okay, there's definitely some paragraphs out of here that we want. So let's go ahead and buckle up real quick. Try to make this bigger so you can see with me. All right, sorry about that. I went ahead and flipped it to reader mode. It's just a little bit easier on the eyes. Missed this picture the first time through, kind of showing everything connected there. Shout out to Alina Grubaniak. So what's blockchain value to the circular economy? Well, first off, it starts by defining the circular economy. It's a fundamental system change that breaks the link between economic activity and the process of drawing from the finite bank of the Earth's resources, making systems more resilient and regenerative. A circular economy is based on 3 principles: eliminating waste and pollution, circulating products and materials at their highest value, and regenerating nature, all by design. It says blockchain is ideal to help in that circulation task, identifying and monitoring materials and components right through the supply chain so that they can either be reused, remanufactured, or when that's no longer possible, recycled or composted. There's also some evidence that it can contribute to the regeneration of nature. Water and waste management company Suez uses blockchain to record all the stages involved in transferring sludge from the wastewater onto agricultural soils. Okay, so again, circular, reusing it. Let's see, and this speaking about blockchain, but its main function in the circular economy so far has been for monitoring non-biological materials linked to a GPS system or IoT sensors that track its movements and adaptations. A product can bring with it a trail of dynamically updated information housed on a blockchain that allows each user in the chain to make informed decisions about the management of materials. Again, putting it all on the blockchain, right? We've seen VeChain talk about just different parts of cars just being put on the blockchain with some of their partnerships, right? Dovu, when it first started, had an investment from Jaguar Land Rover, right? But let's keep going here. It says this can help manufacturers source components that a blockchain can record as recycled or remanufactured, helping companies to clearly quantify their reductions in the use of virgin materials. Okay, fresh materials, so reusing things rather than just grabbing fresh every time. Coca-Cola uses blockchain to record and reward the work of informal waste collectors in Africa, aiding its ability to track and trace recycled materials right through the supply chain. For products that comprise a complex mix of materials and components, this can be a significant aid. So breaking it down, right, by the type of material it is. And Coca-Cola is already using blockchain in Africa for waste collectors. That's wild. So when he starts speaking about these different organizations, like, look, you got Coca-Cola going in on it. Microsoft has said they going in on being clean, right? This ESG initiative, all this stuff is huge, man. So I think we just got a few more things from this one. The technology can also help the end user make an informed decision about how best to repair or dispose of a product and or its components. The detail in the stored data, accessed via QR, barcode, or RFID. Remember, a lot of products are choosing to go QR code, but this allows parties in the value chain of a product to effectively share responsibility for its material flows, enabling circular economy in practice. Wow, that's wild. Yeah, you ain't gonna be able to just dispose of stuff in a dirty manner no more. Because when you don't update your piece of the chain, somebody going to make sure you got clean practices. Let's see here. So this part right here, we may do that. Let's just see how much more we had. Adoptions on horizon. I really didn't think I needed anything from that. We didn't want anything from here. Yeah, and then legislation. So yeah, we can go back and grab just a little bit from this one on the what's the holdup. So far, so promising. This goes in and talk about blockchain evangelists, right? But let's get in here. The main reason for this slow progress lies in the ambition inherent in its promise for the circular economy. The technology might hold exciting potential, but it also requires a level of collaborative culture that feels very different for many organizations that are used to issuing edicts to their supply chain in return for their business. So, right, people have to disrupt their current business processes in a major way. Let's go ahead and finish this off. And this is actually where it gets interesting right here. Legislation unlocks the major blockchain benefits. The crucial lever to accelerate this process is government policy. If non-renewable resources are taxed at the point of usage, if non-renewable resources are taxed at the point of usage, what did he say? Just a tax in the middle of the transaction. The broker is, tied in with the correct systems. You just get a tax when you go to pay. And a tech platform like blockchain enables this. We could start to see big shifts in the ways that companies design their business models and products, with financial incentives to eliminate waste and materials that cause pollution, corporate strategies could become more aligned to facilitate a circular economy. Well, yeah, if the government writes in the policy and they say we're going to use blockchain to make sure you follow it, you dang on right it's going to work, because ain't no way you're getting around that. This is what can be achieved via extended producer responsibility schemes, where companies pay a fee to cover the cost of end-of-life recovery. There is already some early research evidence that blockchain technology could help industries to manage the flow of data necessary to make these schemes work. Carbon fee and dividends are another way this transfer of responsibility could happen, charging manufacturers for the carbon that they put into the atmosphere. If blockchain can be evolved so that it can enable these kinds of systems, then it could be successful in enabling companies to be truly responsible for the materials that they choose for their products. Their design choices will then much more effectively close the supply chain loop on their operations and maximize the value flows held within them. Blockchain could then be the catalyst that takes us into the next stage of a circular economy. So I really hope this carbon market is starting to make sense. I really hope it's starting to click just how big this is. Like, this is insanity. We had, in just this article, Coca-Cola was a big name. We know that Dovu's initial investor was Jaguar Land Rover, right? We see what H-Bar's doing. This circular economy is going to be crazy. VeChain's been partnering with vehicles. I can't remember which one VeChain got off the top of my head. It's either BMW or was it Mercedes, or they got a big name. I can't remember who VeChain's got, but they've got somebody as well. It's some big players. Just look at any large business that has ESG listed on a website somewhere, right? Everybody's moving towards the cleaner initiative, and Microsoft was talked about in one of these snippets, and Microsoft has promised that by 2030. So either Microsoft is going to have to renege on that, or things are about to start moving real fast. So just some food for thought there. And again, even the credits, right? We looked at some of those credits on the Dovu website and we're like, well, I don't know when I'm going to be able to exchange them. Well, it's going to come eventually. We got projects like Circularity Global, who Dovu just partnered with, working on making carbon credits exchangeable, being able to exchange different carbon credits. So that partnership to me makes a whole lot of sense if they're actually seeing success in that space. Makes too much sense, actually. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and end this thing where we started, over here on Twitter. So we got the retweet here from RoboPeep. Let's slide on over to Dovu's Twitter page and see if they got anything else from Census 2024. It's that infamous H-Bar partnership. It's the interview we just got done talking about. And stick around to the end of the video. There's one more piece of that I wanted you to see and hear. Got that coming up for you very shortly. These right here, the interviews that Matt has been doing with Kabila, these coffee chats, I definitely want to start tuning in and listening to some of these. I'm told that Matt drops a lot of nuggets, and I just have not been able to tune in yet, but you guys are going to see some of the focus start coming into this carbon space for me. It's a very under talked about space. We can start to see with just some of what we went over today, how big this is and how many companies care about this. And this is an opportunity to just be early. You want to talk about being early on something. This is an opportunity to just be early. Like, man. So just my opinion. But that was all I have for y'all, man. I'm going to go ahead and end this one with these last little clips I wanted y'all to check out. And until next time, don't get shook. Stay focused. I'm out.
We're building something of massive scale, of real value, and something that's going to help the planet. And on the way, token holders will be, we'll help them as well.
Have you guys seen a shift over the past, let's say, year compared to where we were at last year or maybe a couple of years ago, as far as people coming up and understanding the importance of ESG, the work that Dovu's doing, Hedera, things like that?
And so suddenly we've got government participation in terms of what we're doing. We have corporate participation in terms of what we're doing. And then, but ultimately, we want our credits to be embedded really within any service. So the way I see things going forward would be you go and buy a cup of coffee, it's that service provider is plugged into Dovu, and there's a microtransaction happening for every sort of purchase. So fast supply and then demand everywhere. That's the goal. How do we get to faster supply and demand everywhere, and how do we build the rails for that? And that's the direction of travel for us. And we're very close to being able to do that.